Hello YouTube, this is Scotty Boy, and beside me is my wife, and I wanted to do kind of a video just talking about family and kind of the process of getting everybody prepared for for me going off to Prime and being out on the road for weeks on end. There's a process that you should probably go through with your own family. Everybody's situation is different. I kind of wish I had started this rolling maybe 5 minutes earlier. Y'all would have had the benefit of a very comical yet all too familiar quote-unquote argument between my wife and I over temperature, whether the air should be on the floor or vent. I'm gasping for air while her toes are warming. So anyway, that's about the extent of our arguments in our relationship. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad, but it's kind of a good thing to talk about since we're talking about family, right?
Yes.
All right, I'll let you just introduce yourself.
I do make a lot of faces at him.
All right, and that's Rexella. That's my wife. For now, my family's kind of grappling with whether we're going to have anyone but me on the YouTube channel, face to face. Certainly with the kids, we're more concerned. So for now, we're just going to do a forward-facing video. It'll be more interesting to look at while we talk. But I may try to play around with some of those like emojis that you could put over people's faces and things like that. I'd like to involve them, but who knows? There's some creepy people out there, so you got to be careful on the internet. But anyway, for today, I just wanted to I'll go through kind of some of my thoughts on at least the way I've tried to prepare the family, how we've handled it, and then Rexel, you can jump in anytime, or at the end kind of give maybe the other side of it, the perspective. So for me, I got to go back to before the actual decision was made, because it was a family decision. It was not just me. Back, I guess, I'd watched a lot of YouTube, and then I kind of came to the decision in my head that this was the best thing to do. So I wanted to bring it to the family, and in our family we have family meetings every so often, just whenever something needs to be addressed or something big's coming up. So I called a family meeting, and I think I've mentioned it, but I've got, of course, my wife here, and we've got 2 teenage daughters. And in that meeting, I just kind of ran through what this life, having not done it, it's my best guess after watching thousands of hours of YouTube as to what the lifestyle is going to be. First what the training months are going to be, and then what the lifestyle beyond that, and my best guess at what home time is going to look like. So I ran through all that with him, and I'm sure it was a bit of a surprise. Those of you with teenagers will understand that it's hard to read, especially this generation. They then, and even now, would you agree, give no inclination that they care one way or the other.
Sadly, yes.
It's kind of a thing where all they care about is like, did you say you were going to make more money? I think that might be it. Now, it probably will hit them once I'm gone. And to be fair, it becomes more real for my wife and I every day that, we're, what are we, 3 days out, something like that, before that? And, as I've been living with this decision for a while, but it's such a radical change. It's just hard to wrap your mind around it that it's actually happening. So anyway, what I did with this meeting, I laid it all out, and I told them, and I meant it, that, we're not going to make a decision today. I want everybody to think about it, and I told everybody that this has to be a unanimous decision. This is the way we handled it in my family. I told them, think about it a while, and if any one of the 3 of them came to me and said, this is just not going to work, we can't live without you, we need you here, that kind of thing, I would have dropped it, and I would have looked, within my field for a lateral move. Obviously, I'm coming to Prime, so we are on. I can say that we're 100% with that. Not that we don't have concerns. One thing I need to acknowledge, when you make a decision like this to become a trucker after, a totally different kind of career, it kind of organically becomes all about you. When you're talking to friends and family, that's all anybody talks about. that such a big change. Are you going to be able to do it? This and that. But what kind of in my mind gets left out is that if I had to measure whose life is going to be harder because of this between my wife and I, hands down, it's hers. I mean, she's basically going to be a single parent. I'm going to be as present as I can be from the road, miles in between. We're going to do everything we can to keep the communication going in many different forms. But she's the one left behind to deal with stuff that we used to tag team. So, if you have families like that and you're going through this, don't forget that trucking's going to be very difficult, training's going to be difficult, I'll have my challenges, but, your family behind you has to cope with this new reality as well. And so they need to be mindful of that. Did you want to say anything on just the way we handled the opening few meetings or anything like that? Oh, okay. All right, I will roll on then. All right, the second part of this with family that I wanted to talk about, and I'll give a shout out to one of my favorite channels. My shout outs don't really pack a big wallop because I think I have 19 subscribers. I had 21. I'm not upset about losing those two at all, but I'm down to 19.
He unsubscribed.
Huh?
He wants to unsubscribe.
I don't know. They don't show who it is. But yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. Sniff, sniff. But anyway, the one thing I wanted to say, if you haven't, honestly, Travis Kinley is who I want to give the shout out to. He's been one of my favorite YouTubers in the trucking realm. He's got a lot of following in Prime and that sort of thing. So most of you probably are already subscribed. If you're not, you really need to be. He is fantastic. To me, the way I would sum up his channel is he's just a great guy to kind of help you keep your head on straight through all of this. He's just a very inspirational, high energy vlog. So if you haven't checked him out, do so. But for this video, I wanted to he had two videos, 2 or 3 maybe, and it's been a while since I watched them, but he went into pretty good detail on how to handle your family relationships from the road. Now, he has smaller kids than mine, but I liked what he had to say, and I've really taken it to heart. I am not out on the road yet, but we've already talked about how we want to kind of handle the communication. For me, what he said in his videos was, you're only going to get certain times, and you're talking by phone. It's not in person. You don't want to squander that precious time by spending it every time with highly emotional, tears and I miss you and that kind of stuff. It's kind of a given, we're going to be feeling those emotions, but spend that time working on trying to be present in each other's lives, even though they're miles apart. Just have kind of a pact, and that's what I've done with my family, and I'm going to reiterate it before I leave. To kind of have a pact that we're going to stay away from the I miss you conversations until I'm home and face to face. We can have those more emotionally charged, conversations when we're together. But let's not waste that time out on the road with that stuff. Let's talk about each other's lives. Be present. How was the test yesterday? What's coming up for you next week? That kind of thing. As much as possible, almost pretend like you're right there. Continue the same conversations you'd have if you were sitting on the couch next to them. So I intend to try that. I think it's really good advice. Aside from that, we're going to look at least during the training phase, I may not be able to be on the phone as much as I want to during training. I'm certainly not going to be able to do that. So, I'm going to use this YouTube channel. It may not be conversation, but they can check in with me, see me, get updates, that kind of thing. I have an app called Duo. We're kind of figuring it out right now, but it's kind of like a Zoom call type thing. I don't think it's that new. I think people have been doing this a while, but it's new for us, where you can have a video chat with several different people. And I'm even incorporating my parents into it a little bit because they're both living and they're quite concerned about this decision for me. They're very supportive, but I don't think they're necessarily cheerleading the decision. I've gone into some detail about, kind of the way I was raised, and it was a good way to be raised, a good practical way of looking at going through life, and I appreciate it for how far it did get me. But when you do all that and it still falls short, it might be time to take a little risk once in a while. So that's all I really wanted to say about it. Did you want to go? Can you go into, like, at least from your perspective, how we've handled the family chit chats and things? How do you think that we're in a good place for me leaving? What are your concerns?
Definitely. I think we're definitely in a good place. It's still nerve-wracking and anxiety raising, but that's to be expected. Something, a big new change like this. So, but as far as the kids, I think that'll hit them probably the day you leave, maybe the next day. Hit them that you'll be gone for a while.
I hope you're right. I'm not sure I'm that confident in that.
I think so.
We all love each other, I have no doubt, but again, we're dealing with teenagers here, and every time I bring it up, I get a little more than okay, whatever, Dad, let's move on. So, but maybe my ego gets hurt a little bit in that, but I'd honestly, if you look at it, I'd rather them not be upset than be upset about it, So, I hope that we can maintain this relationship, all of our relationships. It'll certainly be different, but I don't want it to be worse, Oh, one thing I did want to say, and I meant to put this in there. When I was explaining what the lifestyle and everything's going to be, I also was extremely detailed in the why. Why am I doing this? And it was, I've gone into that kind of detail in other videos, so I'm not going to rehash it, but I made them, really aware that in very, very large part, the largest part of why I'm doing this is for them. I mentioned it in the earlier video that our savings is not where we want it to be, and the reason why I'm going now and not waiting till 18, which was my original idea, I wanted to wait till they were adults. But the problem is the problem we're facing is that we don't have savings enough to really open doors for them when they become adults. I want to be able to help them in whatever they choose, college or whatever, trade school, anything.
But not McDonald's.
Yeah, but yeah, I want to be able to help them some. So that's the reason why I'm going. While they're still quote unquote children, the young adults or whatnot. Personally, and I've said this before, I would not have chosen to do this if my children were younger, and I definitely preface that by saying, I do not judge anybody who does choose that. Every family's different. Your reasons and your situations are your own. I don't judge that decision, but for me, I would not have made that choice. And for my family, I don't think they would have been able to handle this when they were younger. We're like many families, we have our ups and downs, and I know there were times that either one or the other child at different times would have had great difficulty, not having both parents there with them. So I think we're in a good place. The kids seem to be well adjusted. I worry more about Rexella and the added stuff she has on her. So we'll see. We're gonna put our best foot forward and try our best, and probably going to be some trial and error. But I think you want to be on the same page when you go out there. You don't want to be. You can't have your mind at home when you're needing to concentrate on driving that giant machine, or someone's going to get hurt. So that's part of it. You need to, and I guess I can't really speak to younger people or people that are not married or with families, but I guess in general, I would say that try to get all of your important relationships in your life in some kind of solid order. I can't imagine being out there if you're leaving some kind of turmoil in those relationships. If you've got turmoil at home now, it's just going to be amplified when you're trying to handle the same things by phone. And when you get off that phone, if it's always emotionally charged, conversations, trust issues, things like that. I can't imagine trying to concentrate on driving a big rig when you're just constantly upset about what may or may not be going on at home. So that's not speaking from experience. It's just a thought I'm having. Try to get those relationships in good order before you make this choice. I think it would be to your benefit and safety. So I think that's all I have on this. Did you want to add anything else?
Jason Momoa hasn't knocked on my door yet, so you don't have any.
Oh yeah. What is that thing? The pact where you allow your spouse one celebrity? I'll allow it. That's fine. I don't see it.
I just want to touch his chest.
We're really putting this in there, are we?
Why not?
All right. Well, on that note, after talking about all the wonderful family stuff, we're going to stop with her cheating with me, with Jason Momoa with me. So, all right, YouTube, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.